Welcome to the Explainer. So, you've got this killer app idea, right? But then it hits you. How do you get it on both iPhones and Androids without, doing all the work twice? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
Let's just dive right in. You've got the idea, but you're facing two massive, totally separate ecosystems, Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store. So the big question is, does one idea really mean you have to build two separate apps from scratch? Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll unpack the problem itself. Then we'll look at the three main ways to build an app. Meet the big players in the cross-platform game, figure out how to choose the right one, and finally, take a peek at what's coming next.
Okay, Section 1, the multi-platform problem. So what's the big deal? Why is building for everyone so dang hard?
Here it is, the bottom line. Think of it this way. iOS and Android speak completely different languages. It's Swift for Apple and Kotlin for Google. They don't talk to each other. So you end up needing two teams writing two different code bases, which, means double the time and double the money. Ouch.
So how in the world do developers solve this? Well, that brings us to our next section. Turns out there are really three different paths you can take to build your app.
When you zoom out, it all boils down to these three choices. You can go native, which is the traditional one for each approach. You can go hybrid, which is kind of like a website in disguise. Or you can go cross-platform, which is what we're really digging into today. All right, first up, native. This is the old-school classic way. You're writing code in the phone's mother tongue, Swift or Kotlin. The upside, you get absolutely jaw-dropping performance and total control over the phone's hardware. The downside, we're right back where we started. Double the work.
Path number 2 is hybrid. Here's the deal. You basically build a website and then wrap it in a simple native shell. That shell is really just a mini browser called a web view. It's fast to get started for sure, but sometimes it can feel a little clunky, not quite like a real snappy app. And now for the really cool stuff, cross-platform. This is the first flavor, the bridged approach, made famous by frameworks like React Native. You write your code once, say in JavaScript. Then, this thing called a bridge acts like a live interpreter, translating your commands on the fly into the real native buttons and lists on the screen. But there's another way to do it. This is the compiled approach, and it's what Flutter uses. Instead of a bridge, it comes with its own set of UI tools. Then it compiles your single code base straight into super fast machine code for both platforms. No translator needed. It just draws everything itself, which makes it incredibly performant.
Okay, so with these different approaches, a few major contenders have emerged. Let's meet the big players in the cross-platform arena.
You've got Flutter, which is Google's baby. Then there's React Native from Meta, Facebook. Microsoft has thrown its hat in the ring with .NET MAUI. And then you have some other really interesting options like Kotlin Multiplatform and the web-focused Ionic.
This chart kind of lays it all out. You can see Flutter uses its own custom widgets and gets top-tier performance. React Native uses that bridge we were talking about, still really fast. And down at the bottom, Ionic uses the web view, which makes it super easy for web devs to jump in, but you take a small performance hit.
So what's everyone actually using? Well, the data shows Flutter is leading the pack right now, with about 46% of the vote. But look, it's a tight race. React Native has a huge passionate following, and it's definitely not slowing down.
So, with all these choices, how do you pick? I mean, what's the right tool for your project? Well, it really just comes down to what you're trying to build and who's on your team.
Let's play a little game. Quick question. Does your app need to be buttery smooth? We're talking high-end games, intense animations, that kind of thing?
If you just nodded your head, then you're going to want to look at something that compiles. Going fully native is the gold standard, of course, but Flutter was literally built for this, to give you that incredible near-native speed from just one set of code.
Okay, next scenario. What if your team is already a bunch of rock stars with JavaScript and web tech? Are you going to make them learn a whole new language from scratch?
No way. That's where something like React Native shines. It lets your team use the skills they already have. Or, if it's a simpler app, Ionic is fantastic because it's built on the web technologies they already live and breathe every day. And for our last one, this is a really interesting case. What if you want the best of both worlds? You want to share all the complicated stuff, the app's logic, but you want the user interface to look and feel perfectly, 100% native on both iPhone and Android. For that, you've got Kotlin Multiplatform. Its whole purpose is to let you share the brains of the operation while giving you complete freedom to build a custom-tailored, beautiful native UI for each device. So let's wrap this up by looking into the crystal ball. Where is all this technology headed? Because trust me, things are moving fast.
Right now, we're seeing AI get baked right into the developer tools to help write code faster. Just around the corner is something called WebAssembly, or WASM. Think of it as a universal language that will let code run anywhere, on any device, at near-native speeds. The ultimate goal? True, write once, run anywhere code.
And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. As all these tools get smarter and faster, and the lines between your phone, your laptop, and your watch get blurrier, what does the word native even mean anymore? What happens when one single code base can give you a perfect experience absolutely everywhere? That's the future we're heading towards.